Hurricanes, one of nature's most powerful forces, have wreaked havoc on the coastlines of the United States. Given very ordinary names, they are anything but ordinary, and the names of very destructive storms, like Andrew in 1992, Camille in 1969, Hugo in 1989, and Katrina in 2005, are retired and will never be used again. Until the late 1940s, storms were not given names, with the exception of major storms, which were given the name of the landfall location, such as the Galveston hurricane of 1900. There are different name lists for Atlantic and Eastern Pacific tropical storms, and names are given as soon as the storm's winds reach 39 miles per hour or more. The hurricanes that threaten the Atlantic and Gulf coasts of the United States begin as low-pressure tropical waves off the western coast of Africa. They travel westward across the Atlantic Ocean, feeding on warm ocean water and moist air, and those that develop into tropical storms develop a counterclockwise rotation around a central area. The direction of their movement depends on steering currents in the upper atmosphere, as well as frontal boundaries. Those that move into the Gulf of Mexico feed on the warm waters there and will usually intensify as they do so. The National Weather Service rates hurricanes by wind intensity and central barometric pressure using the Saffir-Simpson scale, ranging from minimal Category 1 with winds of over 73 miles per hour, all the way to catastrophic Category 5. Major hurricanes that have hit the United States rate from a Category 3, the first of the major hurricane categories, with winds between 111 to 130 miles per hour, and Category 5, with maximum sustained winds over 155 miles per hour. Depending on where storms make landfall, they can create extensive to catastrophic damage, and in some cases have practically wiped out entire towns and cities, killing hundreds and even thousands of people. We will mention and show the aftermath of just a few of these devastating tropical storms. The earliest recorded catastrophic hurricane to hit the United States was the hurricane that hit the city of Indianola, Texas, in 1886. The Category 4 storm wiped out this port city and killed at least 150 people. The town never recovered. Following the storm, the survivors moved inland, away from the coast. In 1893, the coasts of Louisiana, Georgia, and South Carolina were devastated by 2 hurricanes. A total of at least 3,400 lives were lost in those regions. The Galveston hurricane of 1900 was the most catastrophic storm ever to impact the United States with regard to loss of life. At the time, Galveston was the major port city in Texas, a thriving city that included residents of all economic and social backgrounds. The Category 4 storm hit on September 8, 1900, and Galveston would never be the same. At least 8,000 people were killed, and the city was virtually destroyed, with debris swept away by the storm surge found 100 miles away. As you can see, the impact was that of an atomic bomb. Only a few houses remained standing, and the city of Galveston would never fully recover to its former self, leaving room for Houston to become the next major port city of Texas. Following the storm, Galveston began construction of a major seawall that has since protected the city from damage of that magnitude. Other storms that devastated coastal areas include the Category 4 Okeechobee hurricane of 1928 that slammed into Florida and was responsible for at least 2,500 deaths. New England's major hurricane of 1938 was one of the worst that area had ever seen. It killed at least 256 people. The Labor Day hurricane hit the Florida Keys on September 2, 1935, and was the first recorded Category 5 hurricane to strike the United States, and the first of only 3 in the 20th century. It is the storm that was depicted in the 1948 movie Key Largo with Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. Another Category 5 hurricane that struck the United States was Camille, which made landfall near Gulfport, Mississippi on August 17, 1969. I have memories of this storm that hit rather close to New Orleans, where I grew up. It devastated the Mississippi Gulf Coast, wiping hotels, buildings, and beautiful beachfront homes off their foundations with a 24-foot storm surge and winds in excess of over 200 miles per hour. The third Category 5 storm was Hurricane Andrew, which struck Homestead, Florida, and southwest Louisiana near Morgan City in August 1992. At that time, it caused $26.5 billion in damages, mostly in Florida, and was the costliest hurricane in the United States until Katrina in 2005. Hurricane Katrina struck the Louisiana coast just southeast of the city of New Orleans on August 29, 2005. When it made landfall, it had been downgraded to a Category 3, but was enormous in size, and its effects were far-reaching, as hurricane-force winds extended 100 miles from the center of the storm. Making a northeastern turn, Katrina headed toward the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Having recovered and rebuilt following Camille, the same area felt the full extent of Katrina's power. Once again, the Gulf Coast was devastated. Several breaches occurred in the levees protecting the city of New Orleans, dumping water from Katrina's storm surge into New Orleans and flooding nearly 80% of the city under 10 to 15 feet of water. Katrina was the costliest hurricane ever to hit the United States, with an estimated $81 billion in damages in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, and Ohio, and the third deadliest, causing over 1,800 deaths. These are just a few of the major hurricanes that made landfall in the United States. Unfortunately, there is nothing we can do to stop future storms from doing so. But those of us that live along the coast, or have lived through one or more of these major hurricanes, can do what we can to be prepared, just in case. Thank you.